So holiday traditions, here we are in the holiday season, and it's a time for family, it's a time for traditions, but it's also a time where you can take some opportunity to talk about or think about some of the important financial components that can go into being financially successful. Hi, and welcome to the Johnson Brunetti YouTube channel. My name is Joel Johnson. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are talking about holiday traditions, but before we get into that, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so, and click on the red bell. That way you'll get notifications anytime that we upload new videos, new educational content. I know we don't like to talk about budgeting too much, but if some of you know people, or maybe unfortunately this was you at some point, where you'd spend so much money on the holidays that the next 5 months of the year, January, February, March, April, May, were spent paying for all the things that you bought for the holidays. So one of the perfect examples of good budgeting is to not do that, right? To make sure that when you're doing gifts and so on, I know it's hard, especially if you have grandkids, but you stay within your means. So what you want to do with family members is be honest about financial mistakes. Now, this might mean mistakes that you've seen friends go through where they've overspent on the holiday season. It may be mistakes, again, that you have gone through yourself. But it's important that we're open about budgeting and the importance of budgeting. And of course, for next year, do you have some kind of a budget? And again, you know this, I don't like the word budget. I don't like anybody telling me what I can and can't spend. Maybe a little childish, but that's just how I feel. So I like the idea better of, hey, knowing what you can spend every month and setting aside money off the top if you're still working to make sure you save, not borrowing money for those monthly expenses. It can be that simple. Budgeting can be that simple, or it can be every single line like some of you like to do. Saving money. Talk to family members or reflect, if it's just you that you want to have this inner conversation with, about the importance of saving. Think about the rewards of saving. All of us have saved money for something at some time in our lives. Some of you might be saving for retirement. Some of you might have saved so you don't have to borrow money to buy a car or buy, a household appliance or something like that. Think about the benefits of saving, and then think about the opportunities next year of where you can save. Again, all of these things are just, for some reason, we can think about money around the holidays. A lot of people feel a little stressed about money around the holidays, but use it to take action in ways that are positive to you. And again, express those holiday traditions, not just in having a good time with family, but also maybe talking to your family about some of these things. What are your values when it comes to money? What kind of values do you have? And is that an area of opportunity for you to discuss those things as you get together with family? And again, you know how I feel about grandparents sharing with grandkids some of those values, because those grandkids will listen to you a lot more than they will listen to their parents. And so is there an opportunity there to share your values, whether it's those values of giving, of investing, charitable work, things like that? As far as investing goes, maybe you want to be vulnerable and share with your family about investing mistakes that you've made and investing successes that you've made. It's easy to talk about the successes we've had in investing with friends, with family. That's something we hear about a lot. But what if you shared some of the mistakes that you've made? Many times people learn a lot more from pain than they do pleasure or reward. And it's those painful mistakes that many of us have made, where we have to sacrifice to get out of a hole, where we have to clean things up, where maybe we've made mistakes where we'll never recover financially from those mistakes. So from an investing standpoint, when you're sharing investment advice and so on, or listening to investment advice, think about the consequences of making mistakes as well as the successes. I mentioned charitable giving a little bit ago. I mentioned gifting, whether that's part of being part of a church or a synagogue, or just a organization that you care very, very deeply about. Wendy and I support a number of different organizations from sort of a wide variety of different causes and so on, and that's really important to us, and we talk about that with our kids. Now, our kids don't participate too much in that discussion at this point, but hopefully we're planting the seeds around that holiday time so that at some point later in their lives, maybe they'll ask questions about it, or it'll just be sort of embedded in their values system. Let's talk about taxes. You know, charity, we know we get a tax deduction on our federal return, maybe even your state return for giving money to charity, but we should touch base, and this is a little bit of a separate road we're going to go down here for a minute, but we should touch base on some tax opportunities because then, again, of course, you know, the holiday season comes at the end of a year. Do you have required minimum distributions, money that's going to get forced out of your retirement plans when you are a certain age, or maybe it's getting forced out right now? What are some charitable opportunities you can take with that? You can actually take money that's required to be taken out and give it directly to a charity, and that's a really nice opportunity to save a lot of money in taxes. Do you have the opportunity to gift money? Maybe you have to pay taxes on it today to take it out of a retirement account, but if you think you're never going to need that money, can you gift that to other siblings or children or grandchildren or whatnot? Also, anytime that we have retirement accounts and we think it's going to be a while before we use those retirement accounts, we should be considering something called a Roth IRA conversion. A Roth IRA is tax-free to us, and it's tax-free when we pass that money on. So if you have a traditional retirement account, when you take money out of that, you get taxed. If your kids or grandkids or whoever inherits that money and they take it out, it gets taxed. And many times, if your kids are inheriting that, they're inheriting that in their peak earning years, in their 50s, in their early 60s, before they've retired yet. If you can do a Roth conversion and pay some taxes today, all the growth on that money will be tax-free, and if somebody inherits that money, it will be tax-free. So again, this is considering during this holiday time, all these different opportunities we have to take advantage of the fact that we're at the end of the year. There might be planning opportunities and setting ourselves up for next year and the opportunities that we have to support our family. Let's talk a little bit about your goals for next year. When we think about next year, are there lessons you've learned this year that you can go into next year with and do a better job, maybe not make a mistake, or maybe there's been a tremendous reward for doing the right thing and you want to do more of that for next year? So again, during this holiday time, whether you're sharing these concepts and so on with family or not, what are the opportunities to go into next year with a fresh start? I go to a gym and I know the most crowded time in that parking lot is in January. And a friend of mine and I just laughed because we know the third week of January it's going to start falling off, and by the end of February and March, that parking lot, it's easy to get a parking spot. Don't be that person. Don't come up now during the holiday time with goals for next year and only let them stick for the month of January. So figure out goals that you can obtain and you can be rewarded for, and that can benefit you through next year. So let's recap on some of these holiday traditions. Obviously, when we're with family and so on, have we shared those values? Have we talked about savings? Have we talked about investing and budgeting with family members? Do you even want to do that? Or is it just something you want to reflect on for yourselves? Have you thought about charitable gifting and so on? Is that a value to you? If it's not a value to you, then that's fine. But if it is that an opportunity for you to talk with family while you're around family? And then, of course, setting yourself for success up next year. I hope you have a great holiday. I hope you're around people that you love, that you can enjoy, that you can get rejuvenated here at the end of the year and have a phenomenal next year. Thanks for tuning in to this Johnson Brunetti YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and also check on the bell so that you get notifications when we load up new materials.